Real talk, real life, real growth.
This is Raw Reality with Tori Story and Fit with Lily.
Cooper Chapman, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Great to be here with you girls.
Yes, we're so excited. I feel like I wanted to bring you on because I think obviously you have an amazing story. You have an amazing company that is doing incredible work, and really just bring that like mindfulness, gratitude to the episode, because I feel like we've had a lot of hard truth, hard hitting episodes. Wanted a bit more of like wholesomeness to the community. But growing up, you were an ex-professional surfer, and now moved into the founder of Good Human Factory, the 1% Club, doing all the things, doing incredible work. So we're really excited to have you on and just to dive into, I guess, a little bit of your backstory, but then also the Good Human Factory, the work you're doing, and how we can give a little bit to our community as well.
Of course, yeah. You've actually seen one of my workshops too.
I have.
Yeah,
we had
so you get
Cooper.
the background.
Yes, when I was competing last year, going back to sport after 6 years, you see the shift and how much more emphasis mental health needs in elite sports. And I was like, we're getting Cooper in, and everyone loved your workshop. My coaches were even obsessed. And they're still using the techniques to this day. So it was very, very good.
Hopefully we can pass a couple on to the audience today then.
Yeah.
Yes, both Tori and I have come from elite sporting backgrounds as well, and we always preach how much that taught us and basically made us into the people that we are today. Obviously coming from an elite sport yourself and chasing pro surfing for many, many years, what did that teach you while growing up?
I mean, I think the first thing is it taught me discipline. Learning, from a young age that we have to, if you want to become, I got to top 100, top 50 in the world for a little while, for like a decade after school, actually, I was top 100. So,
wow.
If you want to get that elite in something, like it takes so much time, effort and energy to get to that point. But there were so many lessons, through a sporting career, so many ups and downs from, I think, so many young athletes, especially really base your self-worth and identity on that career and that achievement and that external. Whereas it can become quite unhealthy, and that's really where the work that I do now stems from, that unhealthy mindset that I did carry for quite a long part of my career, which was basing so much of my identity and self-worth on, the performance each week. If I was doing well, I was sitting up here, and if I was doing poorly, I was, in a dark spot and wanted to hide. And yeah, that was a big part of, I guess, the journey, but so many great lessons as well. Being a professional surfer, I got to spend so much time in nature. I got to travel the world and just experience so many amazing cultures. And, being at that elite level, I got to work with so many high-level psychologists and mindset coaches and really pull some of those lessons into, I guess, the world that I'm in now.
In terms of when you were competing, where did you feel the most pressure, especially, being top 50, top 100 in the world? Where did you feel that the most?
I think the most pressure I felt was whether I was going to fulfill my potential. I think most athletes kind of, you want to get to as high as your, I guess, potential, your skill level, your mindset can kind of take you. And I think, a lot of mine came back to, am I going to get to that potential? Am I throwing it away by, soothing myself with partying when I'm having a loss? Or, that internal dialogue was always like, am I going to reach my potential? And I never made it to the top 32 in the world, which is kind of the goal for every surfer. You want to make it to what they call the dream tour, the top 32 in the world. That's where the prize money starts to get serious. That's where, you feel like you've made it as a surfer. I never made it to there. So coming back to did I fulfill my potential? Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. But towards the end of my career, I had this big mindset shift where I'm like, am I really going to live the rest of my life thinking I failed? Or do I want to look back and reflect on the fact that I traveled the world with my best friend surfing? Like, because I could ride a moving piece of water in the ocean quite well on this piece of glass and foam, I got to travel the world and get paid money to do it and surf. Like, I feel like I won. So, my definition of success changed a bit throughout my career, and it came with, I guess, maturity and learning to not just base the, career, the success of the career on the trophies and the external, but more so like, wow, like I got to travel the world and go surfing because like I won. I'm stoked.
Especially when you get to that elite level, you do tie so much of your identity to your sport, but not only that, also your performance. And like you said earlier, it's like when things were good, it was really good. And when things were bad, it was probably like really bad. How did you go coming out of that and trying to find who you were and not relate so much like surfing to your whole identity? Did you struggle with that, or did you kind of work on it before you stopped?
I struggled with it because I lost my major sponsor when I was about 21, 22. I'd had my best ever year on the tour. I got 23rd on my tour, which the top 10 on my tour replaced the bottom 10 on the top tour. Kind of hard to explain, but basically I was ranked probably 60th in the world at surfing at this stage, and I lost my sponsor. And, I went into this big victim mindset of this sucks. There's guys rated lower than me that are getting paid more than me and getting support, and I'm not. I had to go and work as a tradie for kind of the last 4 years of my surf career to fund it, which, came with a big victim mindset for quite a while. But then I got quite fortunate and was invited to the first ever training camp for the Olympics for surfing, which was back in 2016. They announced surfing's going to be in Tokyo. So they invited the top 10 male surfers, I think top 6 female surfers to this training camp to learn kind of the progress that you needed to make it to the Olympic team. And we had Kathy Freeman there, gave a talk, which, so special to see her talk. Mick Fanning, Lane Beachley, a few Australian icons were there to talk us through, the progress to make it to the Olympic team. But why I bring that up is there was 2 people at that camp that really shifted my mindset with this sort of, depressed victim mindset that I was really stuck in at this stage. One was a guy called Ben Crow. You might have heard of him. He does mindset stuff with Ash Barty, Steph Gilmore, Molly Picklum. He's an incredible guy. And he said to us at the camp, pro surfing's what you guys do, but it's not who you are. And that made me start to reflect a little bit more on kind of, okay, maybe I am more than this surfer. And then I had a meeting with Jason Patchell, who's Surfing Australia's lead psychologist, and kind of, was telling him how I was feeling and was in this really sad mindset. And he said, mate, it's so common to feel the way you do. First and foremost, so many of us base our self-worth, base our identity on the external, on the validation from others, on the trophies, on the achievements. And if we do that, we're going to ride this roller coaster of well-being. When you do well, you're up here. When you do poorly, you're down here. And I was like, well, what else can I base my self-worth and identity on? And, I'd heard this before, but it never really clicked like it did at this training camp. He said, what are your values, Cooper? I was like, I don't know, kindness, respect, honesty, all these things that mum and dad had told me about. But he said, values are great to have. They're like a compass. They're going to point you in the right direction. But unless you have actions and habits on top of those values, you're not actually going to move in that direction. You're not going to move and live to those values. So it set me on this path throughout my 20s, doing a lot of reading in the self-development space and listening to a lot of podcasts and just trying to work out a different lens that I can view myself through. And that, I think, is really viewing yourself from this internal. How can I create my well-being? How can I create my own happiness? And it's a daily work in progress. It's definitely, there's no destination of good mental health and there's no destination of self-development, but I feel like I'm on that path of trying to continually look for ways to, grow through life, not just go through life. I love you see my workshop though. I feel like I literally talk about literally almost exactly what I say in my workshop. I'm quite off script and I hate explaining these
You've
stories.
done so many now.
But it's great. I feel like I've worked out a way how to hopefully get a story across so your audience can feel themselves in my story and maybe see themselves and hopefully have some of those mindset shifts that might be a bit healthier for them.
Yeah. And that was the thing that, I've followed you for years now, seen so much of your work. And then when I brought you into our gym, it was purely because back in my day when I was training, the first kind of few years around was we had psychologists come in, dietitians, and they would come and speak in this language that would go straight over your head. You wouldn't understand it. And you feel like you should walk away feeling better, more motivated, or have a bit more tools in your pocket, but you just felt confused, if anything. And so I love the approach you've taken is you've made it so digestible and you speak to people as if they're human and they've got their own stories. And I think a lot of people can relate. And maybe people listening are not even athletes, but in their career, they tie themselves to their career, their identity in that. So I think the way that you speak about it is so just easy to understand. And then it doesn't seem scary. Because I think when you see a lot of psychologists in that sense, it can seem really scary. But the work that you're doing is just,
Yeah, I think as well for a lot of people, when you do see a psychologist or you're trying to speak to someone, it's almost like you don't understand. You haven't been through it yourself. And I think I love when people bring their stories and their own experiences because it's okay, you do get it. You have been through it and you do understand. And I do love when people tell their stories as well. And I think that's really going to connect with our audience today is actually understanding that you've gone through all of this and you've grown through all of this, which is the most important thing. And like you said, you just don't want to cruise through life. You want to keep going on an upward scale as much as you can.
Yeah. And I don't ever try and be the expert in this space. I don't try and say I'm a psychologist, which I'm not. I'm not a professional mental health. I'm not a mental health professional. But I do have a bit of a lived experience story from family history of mental illness, from, having to break down doors and find family members with, like suicide attempts and call ambulances. So I've seen the extreme of mental illness, but I've also seen the positive things that we can do on a daily basis that will avoid us from getting to there. And I feel like so much of the industry when it comes to mental health is skewed towards seeking help, opening up. But it's like, what are those things we do each day to regulate our nervous system so when something big happens, we've got, a little bit more capacity to deal with it. And absolutely, if you get to that point, I call it the treadmill of life, where good mental health is at one end. If you fall off the treadmill, you reach mental illness, which is completely fine too. There's so many things to catch us if we fall off the treadmill. If you're in crisis right now, or if you're ever struggling, and really need someone to talk to, you can call Lifeline on 13 11 14 here in Australia. If you're, not feeling good for a couple of weeks in a row, go speak to your GP. Let them know how you're feeling. You can get on a free mental health plan here in Australia. There is a lot of great things to kind of catch you if you fall off the treadmill and kind of help you get back on the treadmill. But we have to take individual responsibility to walk against that treadmill once we're there. There's so many great things that we know now scientifically will help you walk against that treadmill, but we have to take those action. Like, good mental health isn't a destination. It's a constant journey, like a treadmill. What are you doing each day to walk to the end of it? And when you're right up the end of the treadmill, when something big happens, you've got a bit of space before you fall off. But if we're just sitting at the end and waiting until we reach that time, then, it's going to be a lot quicker and easier to fall off that treadmill and have to seek help, which is okay to do, but what are we doing for ourselves? And that's what I really try and focus on, mental health action, not mental health awareness.
Yeah. And you obviously kind of started getting into this work around that surf camp and doing all of that. And then you've also spoken about that you lost your uncle to suicide when you were a kid, and you watched your dad go through mental health. How did that impact you and kind of the path you took during that time?
I think it just made me acutely aware that, mental health might be something important in my life. I lost an uncle when I was 6. My dad struggled. So I was always kind of like open-minded, and I almost had this fear, maybe I'm going to get a mental illness, but I'm this pro surfer. I better not ask for help. Like, my life's pretty perfect if you look from the outside. I had lots of internal challenges, but I didn't want to seek help because I felt like guilty, like my life's perfect, really.
Yeah.
So because of that, I was always like looking for things that I could do and take care of myself, and, still rode that roller coaster and struggled till I, hit 21, 22, where I got that lesson at the training camp. And, I had never any intention, of writing a book and speaking to all the people I get to speak to in this space now, and a podcast. Like, it was never any intention or like master plan from a childhood. I just was doing all this stuff because I needed it. I really needed to learn how to take care of myself, and took that responsibility throughout my 20s. And it was, 3 or 4 years of practicing this stuff and learning and, having ups and downs still. And then when my little sister lost a friend to suicide in her last year of high school, I just thought back to that young poor boy that was going through so much up here that he, did something so permanent. And I sort of started to think about my journey, and I was like, I never learned any of this stuff that's really helped me at school. Maybe I can go and speak to a few kids. If one of them leaves, feeling a little bit lighter in their mind, then I've got to do this. And, now I think I've educated over 75,000 students at schools all around the country. I've, worked with Apple, Telstra, the NRL team, the Canberra Raiders, and, hundreds of corporate groups and sporting clubs just like yours, and get to spread this message far and wide now. I've run retreats in Bali. I got invited to Brazil, to the Amazon, to speak at the United Nations Climate Change Conference last year, which was a crazy experience. But teaching people how to, regulate their emotions when they're all freaked out about climate change, which, is obviously a big issue. It was nice to be invited there to teach people about gratitude for the environment and how to be present in the environment, because then we'll, care for it more. So, yeah, it's taken me on a crazy journey, but I wouldn't change it for the world. I feel like I'm, got to live one dream life as a professional athlete, and now, to be honest, this is far more fulfilling now.
When you were going through all of that a fair few years ago now, and especially when your sister lost the friend, where did your brain go through that time? Was it automatically, I need to help and I need to do something, like watching everyone suffer in silence? Or did you also start to question yourself? And like you said earlier, like, am I going to almost get a mental illness as well? Is this something I'm destined for too? Was it like, okay, I need help? Or did you struggle through that time as well?
I think the first feeling I got when she lost that friend was guilt. I was like, I've been so lucky that because I'm good on a surfboard, I've had access to the resources like world-leading coaches like Ben Crow and my psychologist at Surfing Australia. Like, I had this access because I was good on a surfboard. So I almost felt this guilt that these other kids in my local area don't surf really good, so they don't get this, opportunity to get this knowledge. So I was like, if I can impart and share some of those lessons with young people, like I've got to do this. So I think it came from this kind of guilt. And don't get me wrong, like I'm far from perfect mental health. Nobody's got perfect mental health, but I do feel like I now have so many incredible skills to manage my mental health, so much access to resources around me, which a lot of us do have but aren't aware of. So being able to share what those resources are, being able to teach these skills and being able to interview experts on my podcast and continually learn, like having a podcast is such a great way to like get to talk to really smart people. You know, I've had like world leading neuroscientists on my podcast. I've had world leading heart surgeons. I've had, you know, psychologists, every sort of health expert in between I've had on my podcast, as well as, you know, Olympic gold medalists, you know, F1 drivers, NFL players. Like just learning from everyone has made me realize like we're all so different. There's no one size fits all. Like everything won't work for everyone, but something will work for everyone. So you have to keep looking for those things. And, you know, something might work for you for a year or two, and then it might not. Like I'm sure there's so many people listening who might have meditated for a year and then they've slowly slipped away and like, okay, I know I can come back to that, but what's working for me now? So my goal is to just continually expand my knowledge and then be able to share it with the audiences I have the privilege of talking to.
Yeah. I love what you said then about not like just because you were a surfer, you had access to all of these like health professions. And it's literally how they say like the rich people in the world get more free stuff and then the less wealthy people have to pay for more things. And it's literally the way the world works. So I love that that's something you've really taken into account here. And it's like, no, I need to help people that don't have access to as much help because at the end of the day, they're nearly not more important, but in a way, like they're the one struggling and they're the one that needs the most support.
Yeah. When did the Good Human Factory kickstart? What year was that?
So my sister was in year 12 in 2018.
Yeah.
And that was like at the end of the year. Every year I'd go to Hawaii for all of November for my surf contest. And after that night around the dinner table, I called like an old school teacher friend of mine, legend, his name's Woody, who was like a real entrepreneurial teacher too. And I was like, did you hear about what happened at the school that my sister and I went to? Where my sisters went to a different school than me. So I was like, did you hear about what happened at the school around the corner? And they're like, yeah, so tragic. And I went and caught up with him for a beer the next day and said, I've got this idea. And my dad was like, oh, you coached a bunch of young surfers and taught them about mindfulness and they really liked it. Maybe you can do it at schools. So I spoke to my old school teacher and he was like, mate, you're such a good human for wanting to do that. Like you should call it the Good Human Factory. These kids come to your workshop. It's like the factory and they leave a bit better of a human. So I didn't come up with the name, but I just really liked the name because good had OO, just like my name, Cooper. And I've always liked to sign a smiley underneath Cooper. So that's why like the logo has good with the smiley.
Love that.
And I feel like the logo was, you know, I couldn't have nailed it any better. I love the logo. So that's where the Good Human Factory came from. But that was 2018. He said, go to Hawaii, create a presentation and next year, come back, let me know when you're ready, and I'll get a a group of 20 students in a class you can talk to. So 2019, I did like one workshop at Narrabeen Sports High, which like looking back, it's so funny. I see the photos of it, like how I was dressed and like how the presentation was. Right? Oh my God, it was like I would have failed a year 6 like assignment. My PowerPoint presentation was so bad. It was like using clip art and all that stuff. Anyway, but I gave it a crack and it's funny. I actually, one of the kids in that room, that first session was like a family friend and he's finished school now. Like it was back in 2019. Like he was in year 7 and it's like he's finished. It feels crazy.
Wow.
Times change.
That is wild.
Like, you know, I feel like I haven't had the business for that long, but it's longer than a whole high school career. Crazy.
Yeah, wow.
But he was like, oh, I was in that first session. I still do the gratitude thing you talked about. So I'm like, even though it was terrible, the concept still clicked. But that was the first year. But while I was doing that, I was still surfing professionally, working full-time as a tradie at this stage in between my surf contest and trying to build the Good Human Factory, whatever that was. So that first year I did one school workshop and one workshop for like a touch football thing, a family friend touch football team. And then 2020 came around and COVID hit. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of where the Good Human Factory, like I hadn't even like registered the business name or anything until 2020. And then because of COVID, my accountant's like, because all your surf comps are cancelled, you can get on JobKeeper for a few months. So I was like, sweet. So I did that with the mindset of I'm going to learn as much as I can about mental health. I did a Science of Wellbeing course. I started my podcast. I started doing merch. I built an ambassador program and just started to try and like mold what this Good Human Factory was going to be and kind of started throwing darts at the board to see what was going to stick. But then it was COVID, so I couldn't go to schools. I couldn't go do workshops. And I was still surfing professionally. So 2020 was kind of slow. 2021, I did a few more workshops, but I still did my international surf tour for 4 months. So the business had to get put on hold. Yeah. So it wasn't really till 2022 things started to pick up a little bit, but I was still like packing boxes at my friend's warehouse, literally just around the corner here, actually in Burleigh, for like to make enough money to cover my rent. Like I was maybe doing one workshop a month. And then 2023, things started to build a little bit more momentum. And since 2023, it's kind of been full time. And yeah, as I said, now I've kind of spoken to a lot of students and a lot of corporates now get me in to speak to their teams to, you know, do 60-minute, 90-minute or half-day workshops with their team to develop these really simple skills. But, you know, I've built some really cool frameworks. I've interviewed so many experts that I kind of bring their stories into my into the workshops too. Yeah. And then I take people through actual techniques that they can use each day, which are pretty simple but really effective if you practice them daily.
What do you think was the pivotal point in your business growing? Because you said there was like a few years there, it was a little bit slower, and then 2023 was where everything came together. Do you think it was just a matter of getting your name out there and doing more workshops, and then it's like word of mouth and things grew that way?
Absolutely. I mean, for one, you know, building credibility in a space to be able to go to a school and do talks is pretty hard. Like I get so many people reach out to me asking like, hey, I really want to go into some schools. Can you introduce me to a bunch? And I'm like, I wish it worked like that. Like, it's so hard to build the credibility to get your foot in the door at schools because there's so many people doing amazing work at schools. So it's really difficult to sort of compete against everyone to say like, hey, what I'm going to come and talk about is going to have a big impact. So it just took time to build that credibility. I had, you know, a profile already through my surfing career. Obviously, my sister, Chloe Fisher, she has a massive podcast, Darling Shine, and I went on her podcast each year basically from 2022 onwards, or maybe 2021 the first episode came out. So I booked a few schools from that because a lot of their audience is school teachers. And it just was a slow burn. Like I've always felt like I'm just about to tip a domino where it's all going to change and someone's going to wear my merch and it's going to sell 1,000 shirts, but it doesn't work like that. Like I'm going to have this one guest on my podcast where it's going to finally like skyrocket, but it just doesn't really work like that. It's kind of like, what are those little things you do every day? And then slowly, like, you know, growth is incremental and then it becomes exponential. It's like, how do you stack those wins up every day? And, you know, I still feel like I haven't tipped that domino over as much as I'm really busy right now. Like I still haven't, you know, I haven't bought a house. I haven't got a deposit for a house. I'm just reinvesting everything back in the business to try and make more impact. And, you know, there's no real silver bullet that's like, hey, this turned it over for me. Like the podcast kind of grew for a few years and now it's kind of dwindled because there's so many great podcasts like yours out there that are competition, which is really hard to, you know, compete. But I'm like, I've learned to like not really judge myself against other people. At the start, I was like, oh, this person's getting way more work than me, or this podcast is growing and like, blah, blah. And now I'm just like, if I'm helping people with like the thing that I do, I just stay in my lane now. And, you know, I just get, you know, such great feedback from the workshops, from my book now, from the podcast that I'm like, I'm just going to keep doing what I do. And, you know, every now and then I book these big corporate clients, which is like, wow, it's nice to like make a little bit of money that's, you know, decent here and there. But yeah, it continues to grow. You never know where, like, I mean, a good example is you guys would have heard of Hugh Van Cuylenberg, the Resilience Project. Like his story is really interesting where his kind of domino, it feels like he kind of did a few, and then I'm pretty sure his story goes like this. He met the founder of Coles or the head guy at Coles and he's like, we love your work. We're going to buy one of your Resilience Project diaries for everyone at Coles. So we're going to book 100,000 copies. And it's like, if I sold 100,000 copies of my book like that, like, you know, I haven't had that domino yet, but if Woolworths is listening and you want a copy of the Good Human Factory book and you think it's going to help people, get in touch because the feedback I've had from my book and, you know, the work that I do now is really positive. And, you know, I haven't, in all of my workshop feedback forms, I don't think I've ever had a single person write back like, oh, I didn't really enjoy that. It was kind of like, oh, maybe it was a bit too long or it was a bit boring because you're a student. But then you have 5 kids say, that was the best thing I've ever heard. So it's like, you're never going to please everyone in a room of thousands or hundreds of people. But the overwhelming majority of people say, you know, the work that I do is changing their perspective on mental health, making it feel a little bit lighter and making them feel like they're a bit more equipped to deal with, you know, that treadmill of life that we're all on.
Even when we had you in the gym last year, I was a bit hesitant because I was like, the kids are young, right? And they always, when they think about mindfulness, they're like, oh, whatever, like I don't need to do it. So I felt I wanted them to be open to it. And yeah, their like feedback was incredible and all, like even the young kids. And we had kids there like 10, 11, 12. And they were all like, wow, like we sat down after and we're like, what did you take from that? How can you implement that in your training? Yeah.
They probably
so-
all got a different little thing. One was
Yeah,
like, oh, I
they
love
were
the what
all
can I see,
different.
hear, and feel. One was like, oh, I'm going to brush my teeth and do gratitude
Yeah,
now. One was
yeah.
probably like, oh, now I know to breathe through my nose down to my belly to calm me when I'm nervous.
Yep. And even
the
tools for our
competition.
coaches to then remind the kids of as well. In terms of your framework for your workshops, did it take you a while to build? Because I feel like you've nailed it now, and it's probably still changes along the way. But how long did you feel like it took you to kind of get that framework in? And do you feel like your message kind of stuck straight away?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's evolved. The more people I get on my podcast, I learn new lessons from an expert, and then I put the clips from the experts. Because as I said before, like I don't ever try and be the expert, but I'm like, if I can tell a story that can make you connect with it, if I can then share an expert bit of science so you understand the neuroscience of gratitude, and then you can learn from a breathwork expert, like why you breathe through your nose to your belly, and then I take them through the actual technique. I feel like that's just been a really nice framework. I've, seen a lot of speakers who are great, but you get an Olympic gold medalist and you're kind of like inspired by it, but it's very hard to relate. And like, I'm not the world champion. I'm not the gold medalist. I didn't even make it to that top 32 in the world. But I've kind of learned that I've got a knack now of like making my story relatable to people, bringing the experts, and then making it like tangible and have takeaways. So the framework, it's been the same really since 2020. When I did that Science of Wellbeing course, I pulled together, okay, here's these 5 values. It's changed over time. Did I do the buckets when you guys were there? No buckets. No, it was virtual. We wouldn't have done the buckets. So I've had these different things that I've kind of had in the workshop, and then I've taken out because I've learned all this new stuff and tried to, but the framework of kind of talking about, 5 values has been there from the start. It was it empathy when I did you, or was it connection in the middle? I've just changed it. No, it would have been, this year I've changed it. It would have been empathy.
Okay.
So the 5 values I talk about is like, first is like we have to take responsibility ourselves. Like so many of us get stuck in the victim mindset. I do as well. You can always choose to be the victim or the hero. Like quite often it isn't our fault that things don't go our way. There is someone to blame. There is an excuse to make, but very rarely does it get you anywhere. When we start to go, okay, well, what can I do? That's so important. And that's like my first step always in my workshop is like, we have to take responsibility. The second one I always talk about is gratitude. Like we can always look at the positives or the negatives in our life. We have both. Everyone has some negatives. Everyone has some positives. When you shine the light on the positives, your life becomes bright. When you shine on the negatives, your life becomes dull. And gratitude's a practice we have to learn to push it towards because, our brain is built to seek out the negative to keep us alive. Our survival instinct is about negativity bias. Gratitude's just retraining it to look at the positives, and that's why practice of gratitude is so important. The next one I used to call empathy, but I've changed it to connection now because I think connection is a little bit lighter for people. People are like, oh, I have to be empathetic. It's like, well, no, we just have to build connection. The biggest predictor of your quality of life is your connection with others. There's an incredible Harvard study that's been going on for 90 years where they've studied the, quality of life of humans. They've followed these humans for 90 years. And the biggest predictor of quality of life was your quality of connections with others. So that's a really important one. We have to like work on our connections, learn how to listen, learn how to connect. The fourth one I always talk about is mindfulness. We have to be present. So many of us are just stuck up here and not actually experiencing the beauty of the world around us. Like I drove in here today and I just saw this beautiful tree, and I haven't really come up this end of the street. I've been around here where we are in Burleigh a few times, but I hadn't driven up this end of the street, and there's this one really nice tree as I came around. I was like, that tree's amazing. I was like, most of us don't notice this stuff. There's beauty all around us. If we're mindful, if we're present, we can experience life more full. And once again, there's practices to help you get there, and there's things that are working strongly against us. Technology is exponentially increasing. It's getting hard for all of us to be present with nature, with ourselves. And then the last thing I talk about always is kindness, being kind to yourself, being kind to others, and being kind to the environment. And once again, the neuroscience behind kindness shows like kinder people are generally happier people, but we have to practice kindness to others, to ourselves, and to the environment. And I kind of bring it like this. Like imagine a person, I'll give you an example. We've got person A and person B. Person A, something happens to them. They blame everyone. They say, I can't do anything about this. They say the world sucks. I've got nothing I can be grateful for. Look how bad my life is. They then hide away and don't build connections with others because they feel like everyone's, always mean to them and always, not nice to them. They then, are just on their phone all the time or looking at a computer screen or watching TV and stuck up in their head. They don't take time to, just get away from, technology. They don't take time in nature. And then, they speak so terribly about themselves. They say they're a bad person. They are the victim. They are rude to other people. They don't, give people the benefit of the doubt. And then, they don't care about the environment. They're just like, oh, well, the world's going to end. What's the point? I'm not going to do anything. Person B, oh, that was tough, but you know what, I'm going to try and do something about it. You know, life's pretty good. I live in Australia. That's 1 in 333 in the world. Like, you know, life's pretty good. I opened my fridge, there was food in there today. How lucky am I? I turned the shower on and hot water came out. How lucky am I? Third one, connection. Like, I'm going to give my friends or my family, or, you know, I don't really have any close connections, so I'm going to go for a walk and smile at a stranger today. The mindfulness, they walk without their phone, and like I drove in today, I saw the beauty of a tree, like so stupid, but it made me feel good. Like, and then kindness, like instead of going like, I'm a terrible person, going, you know what, I'm trying my best. I'm going to, you know, try a little bit better tomorrow. I'm going to smile at the person when I tap and pay for my petrol tomorrow and, you know, give them a smile and just say, I hope you have a great day. And then, you know, they see a bit of rubbish on the ground, they pick it up, throw it in the bin because they're like, you know what, I've contributed a little bit today to making the world a little bit cleaner. Sure, it's not going to solve the plastic pollution problem in the world, but hey, my local area is a little bit cleaner because of my contribution. Who's going to have better mental health? Who's going to wake up and want to live their day? Their choices, our values, they're like a compass, but you have to take the actions to live to that compass.
Wow.
I'm just like really like taking it all in.
No, that was absolutely incredible because that's what we always say at the end of the day. Like, honestly, it's how you talk to yourself, and that's what essentially it's going to come out. And it's kind of relating to my next point in saying that you always preach to not really be reactive, more so to be proactive with your mental health. And this is something that I've worked on personally over the last 6 months is I let it get to a really bad place and like build up and build up and build up until like it's almost like something was screaming at me. And it's like you're getting to a point, I was playing victim, I was saying I was too busy, there was no point, like I'm being dramatic. It's everyone has it worse than me and not making it like relative to my life. And then I reached out for help and it got so much better. So it just goes to show that like we always wait till something gets really bad and then you have no choice but to get on top of it. Whereas you can practice all of those 5 things that you said and those really add up to actually bettering your mental health. Is that something you really try to preach because you know you almost like see it in the other way where it gets really bad and then it takes them so much longer to kind of get out where they are, whereas you can actually get on top of it so much earlier?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's definitely not linear. There's days that I don't practice any of those things. I mean, those values usually pretty good with, but from a, you know, breath work and mindfulness exercises, I mean, I practice gratitude every night, but once again, it's such a bad thing saying so busy, but like I'm very busy. I'm on the road a lot. So it's very hard to maintain routine when you're on airplanes and you're driving until late at night and whatnot. But I feel like I've found this balance where like my goal is to find in the joyous moments and the hard moments inner peace, that ability to get curious, not furious. And it takes practice and it takes reflection at the end of the day. How did I show up today? Did I show up how I wanted to, or did I have a few moments that can improve? Okay, sweet. I did react to that moment that I probably could have treated a little bit better. And like, we got to catch ourselves. And I catch myself all the time trying to relearn the lessons that I teach. For instance, I got home from being away for a week a few nights ago and my partner just started bawling her eyes out because she's like, her hair is like falling out a bit when she's having her showers and it's because of stress and this and that. And I'm so used to going to the fixer. Like we all want to, and it comes from the best intention. That's okay. So we'll get your blood test done. We'll work out what's going on. That's what I'd normally do. And I had this guy, Mitch Wallace, on my podcast, and he talks about this idea of like, whenever it goes from IQ to EQ, our metric of success has to go from how well can I fix this problem right now to how well can I make the person feel understood. And I caught myself in the moment lying in bed wanting to be like, I haven't seen you in a week. Why are you crying over this? Like, it's sweet. Well, I get some hair care stuff for you. It's all good. But I called myself and I was like, that's not what she needs right now. I just need to sit here with her and give her a cuddle and be like, hey, that must be hard. You know, you're a model. Your hair is so important to you. Like, I don't care. You could be bald and, looks don't really matter to me at all. But to her, it was such a big thing, and just trying to sit there with it and like learn my own lessons that I teach, that connection isn't about fixing problems. It's about how well can I make them feel like, hey, I'm here with you. It's like, imagine that person's in the mud. You don't need to always pull them out of the mud. Just dangle your feet in there with them a little bit and make them feel like, you know, they're willing to get a little bit dirty with me. And that's what connection is. And, you know, I kind of went off track from your first question, but I just feel like that's the story that literally happened to me the other day. And I caught myself and she said the next day, like, thank you so much for how you treated me then. You didn't try and make me feel bad that it's not a big deal, because to me it was, and to her it is. Whereas to me it's like, wait, like, you know, I wanted to fix and sort of say that to her, but then I was like, no, just take a breath, validate how she's feeling. Tomorrow we can try and fix the problem. You know,
especially in that like such a vulnerable moment. It's like when I've been sick this whole pregnancy. Jackson's never tried to come in and like fix it because he can't.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm just going to sit with you while you cry and like I'm here for you. And that's especially in those vulnerable moments where people just need that little bit of extra.
And when you are in
Hug,
such a
tension.
like
Best
reactive
intention.
state, nothing's going to fix it. Like you could actually fix the problem, but it's not going to fix how they feel right then and there. Maybe tomorrow you can actually fix it if you know how, but like a lot of the
Once you've
time it's just
calmed
being
down.
like, I got you. It's
Yeah.
okay. And that's
Yeah.
all you need.
And it comes from the best intention. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, don't feel bad if you see yourself always trying to fix things, because it is coming from the good intention,
wanna help
especially
them.
males.
Yeah.
But the more we can, make someone feel understood rather than trying to fix their problem, then okay, we can, fix it together tomorrow. But just trying to, connect is so important. And because you try and fix it and then they feel like, oh, you don't even understand what I'm going through. And then the usual response is, I don't, but I can at least try and empathize with it.
Yeah. So we have the book here, The 1% Club. And this is what I want to talk about right now, and something that you harp on about, which is absolutely incredible because everyone says they're so busy. They don't have time. I can't do gratitude. I can't do mindfulness. Like, it's overwhelming. But you say just do one small thing every day, 1%er for 14 minutes. And that is going to make, I guess, your day 1% better as well. Can you kind of touch on what that, like how that came to you and why that really resonated with you specifically?
Yeah, it's funny. It came to me like 1,780 days ago because I've been doing it ever since then. And
Wow,
I track
that
it.
specific.
Yeah, very specific. Well, just because I write the number on it.
Yeah.
And I remember it super clearly. I was sitting down doing a meditation myself, and like I hadn't been meditating that much, and I sat down and I couldn't slow my brain down like we all do. And I was just thinking, and I had this thought of like, surely we can all give 1% of our day to our mental health. Like, we all say we're too busy, but it's the biggest killer of people aged 14 to 44 in the country. It's so important. Yet most of us aren't giving any of our day to our mental health. So I was like, well, what is 1% of a day? And I stopped a meditation that was 10 minutes, probably 5 minutes in, and I got my calculator out and I was like, what's 1% of 24 hours? And, there's 1,440 minutes in a day. 14.4 minutes is 1% of your day. 14.4 minutes is 14 minutes and 24 seconds. So I was like, why don't we round down? Less than 1% of your day, we should all be able to agree we can give to our mental health. And, people are like, I don't have 14 minutes. It's like, well, put your alarm on 10 minutes earlier and spend 10 minutes in bed before you get out doing a meditation with your eyes closed, but like listening to a way to calm your mind. So that's where it started. And I was like, oh, well, what can we do for 14 minutes? So I was like, well, meditation, there's probably more research into meditation and mindfulness than anything else to show that it's really good to improve this relationship that we all have, which really at the end of the day, our relationship with ourselves is our mental health. So I was like, 10-minute meditation in the morning, great way to start your day. And then gratitude. There's so much incredible neuroscience that if you practice gratitude, you get benefits. Everyone knows what gratitude is, but until you actually direct your thoughts and your energy towards what you're grateful for, you're not going to get the release of oxytocin and serotonin that make us feel good. So I was like, 10 minutes meditation, 4 minutes of gratitude at night. There's 1% of our day. But then I also knew we're far more likely to maintain a healthy habit if we have a community around us. So I was like, why don't I start an Instagram group chat where every morning I'll send a link to a 10-minute meditation from YouTube. Every night I'll put 3 things I'm grateful for on my story, and then I'll forward that story to the community. Then we've all done our 14 minutes for our mental health. So it started like 1,700 days ago. The first day I posted, I think like 20 people joined. It's now grown to like over 5,000 would have joined over the past 5 years, but it's probably about 1,000 active members each day. Like I said before, like people come and join for a few months. Oh, I've got that habit now, and then they just don't join in the club, but they'll talk about gratitudes with their family at dinner. So yeah, that community's been going for years now, and the impact has been profound. There's been over 1 million gratitudes sent in. So that's probably the thing I'm most proud of is it's free, it always will be, and 1 million bits of positive chemicals have flown through people's body because of this idea that I had when I did a meditation years ago. It's pretty cool. And then that idea expanded into a book, and I got a publishing deal with a great publisher, Wiley Publishing, and yeah, it's been a really cool thing. And I think what people love about it is this idea of, okay, I'm going to give at least 1% of my day. I'm going to take action for my mental health. Once again, I said before, there's all this awareness, but we have to take action, walk against that treadmill. And the community, the meditation and the gratitude has given people that, habit to take action for their mental health each day. And if anyone's listening and they want to join, it's still going. If you just send at The Good Human Factory, look for the little yellow smiley that says good on Instagram, send us a DM saying, I want to join the club. You'll get added into a free community. I mean, you guys might have a pretty strong community. I could potentially do like a raw reality Instagram group. I did one for Darling Shine and they had like 500 members join. So there was 2 group chats just for Darling Shine community members. So maybe I'll send you guys a link that your community can just click on in the show notes and it'll join them into a raw reality gratitude community. And then you guys can maybe put yours in there every now and then. It's nice to see like the the hosts get
It'll
to
make
share.
us
Like,
do it too.
Well, I was going to say we used to. I never knew this until Tori reminded me the other day. But I would say like a few years ago, every single morning we would send 3 things we're grateful for to each other, and that is just like a good way to start your day. And you're holding each other accountable because sometimes doing it alone so easy to dismiss. I'm too busy. I don't have time, or I don't care.
Diary. No one's like going to see it.
Yeah, it's the accountability factor. So when your friend sends it to you, or when you see other people do it as well through Instagram, you're like, okay, cool, I'm going to join that because as humans, we want connection. We want to feel a part of something. So I love that you've started that to make that happen for everyone.
And having social media is something positive. Like, we go through our Instagram. There's so much shit stuff out there, really. But to have like this little spot where, okay, I click on the group chat, turn the notifications off because if you've got, 100 people writing their gratitudes, bit of notification kills you a little bit. But you turn the notifications off, you click on it at the end of the day and you go, okay, oh, wow, look at all these things that others are grateful for. And you go, wow, maybe my day wasn't that bad. Like, you see people's gratitudes and it makes you feel good. You read other people's, you click and support theirs and it makes this like beautiful community of people just reflecting on the good things. And then the other thing that's been incredible is you see that same person every day write what they're grateful for. And then sometimes like community members will be like, I haven't seen that person write something for a while. I'll reach out to them, see if they're all right. So these communities have become their like own self-fulfilling, beautiful spaces because some of the communities have been going for 3 years or 4 years where they've been seeing each other and people have met up and became friends and people, will write, I've had a really hard day. I lost a friend, and then you'll get 20 people say like, hey, just letting you know I'm here for you. And these are all strangers from all around the world in this really positive community. So I'll think of a way. Maybe even send like, I've come from raw reality. So I've come from raw reality and I'll make a specific 1% community just for your guys, podcast. And then you can just, my admin girl sends the meditation every morning. So we'll send a meditation that you can click on every morning to make it really easy. But the main thing's the gratitude that you see everyone write it each day. And if you don't look for the good each day, then it feels like it isn't there. But when you just look for it, you go, wait, there is a lot to be. And then you go through your day looking for the good. And the neuroscience shows it's going to release chemicals that make you feel good. So it's like you're the person who benefits most from gratitude and the people around you because you feel better.
Yeah.
If you had to choose between gratitude or meditation, and you had to tell someone that they could only choose one of them, what would you suggest? For someone that feels overwhelmed by like everything to do with mindfulness and being present, because it can be scary and hard to start, would you say let's focus on mindfulness or like meditation or gratitude?
I mean, I'd say gratitude because it's just a form of meditation, really. Do gratitude, but in a way that like before you type it on your thing on your phone, sit there. And another thing with gratitude that I learn a lot through writing my book and doing a lot of research and interviewing quite a few neuroscientists now is like try not to make gratitude a thought up in your head. Try and make it a feeling down in your gut and your heart. Like when you reflect on your day, go like, oh, wow, that was beautiful seeing that tree this morning in my vision. And then go, oh, yeah, like I'm really like sitting in the gratitude rather than it being just up in your head has really changed it a lot for me. So, yeah, I'd say gratitude's probably the really lowest hanging fruit because it's really just something you think. Like if you don't want to join the community, I say to people when you brush your teeth at night, do it. Think about what you're grateful for because we all brush our teeth, hopefully. It's a great reminder to be like, all right, whenever I brush my teeth, I just think, what are a few things I enjoyed about my day? Or if you sit around the dinner table with your partner, your friends, your work colleagues, maybe make it once every Friday, we sit around the work table and say, all right, what was the best part about our week? And just like shift the conversation to the positive, and it's literally going to make people
now we can
have
do
more
because we have the office.
positive chemicals in your
I
body.
really struggle with meditation and quietening my thoughts, but something I've done recently that has helped so much, and I don't know where I heard it or like how it kind of came about, was like whenever I get in the car or out of the car, it doesn't really matter which one, but 3 big breaths. And that's almost my form of meditation. So it's like I'm not listening, I'm not forcing myself to be there for like 5 or so minutes, like 3 big breaths, and it calms everything down, and then you carry on with your day. And I feel like that's really helped me, and if that helps someone else as well, and it kind of like just starts your like mindfulness journey as well.
Can I teach you a breathing exercise in your
love
audience
that
will make those 3 breaths? You're probably already doing them like this.
I'm probably not.
This is what I teach in my workshops, and I've trained in breath work under the Cool to Be Conscious guys. Ryan Hubbard's such a legend. Ryan, I love Ryan.
Yeah.
And I did hundreds of hours of training and then a retreat for a week and learn about breath work. But we're all breathing wrong is kind of what I learned through doing a lot of research in breath work. There's an incredible book called Breath by James Nestor. I encourage everybody to read. It teaches you the science of your breath and why you should be breathing in and out through your nose, because this is an oxygen filtration system. The hairs, the mucus, it spirals the air at the appropriate pace. You release more nitric oxide when you breathe through your nose, which is a vasodilator. It opens out your airways. So many benefits breathing in and out through the nose. So first step, in and out through your nose. Second step, we want to be breathing down deep into our lungs. We want to expand our diaphragm. So when you take a breath, almost if you're listening and you're not driving right now, put one hand on your belly button and one on your chest. You want to breathe so the bottom hand sort of pushes out first. That means you're breathing down deep into your diaphragm. At the bottom of our lungs, there's a bit of blood. When we breathe deep enough, that blood's getting more oxygenated, sending more oxygenated blood throughout your body. So you're going to be more calm when you breathe deep down into your diaphragm. But the important one, if you want to calm the nervous system, like your 3 breaths in the car, trying to breathe out longer than you breathe in is probably the most important thing. Your in-breath is a sympathetic response, fight or flight. Your out-breath is a parasympathetic response, rest and digest. So if you breathe out longer than you breathe in, it's going to calm you down. It's going to settle your mind. It's going to settle your body. So my advice to people, 30 seconds. 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out. In and out through your nose and down deep into your body. You're going to calm your nervous system. If you're like me and struggle to calm your mind and body before you go to bed, get your breathing in that out longer than in breath, deeper than it normally is, and in and out through the nose, and it's going to calm you down.
I'm going to take that into labour also.
Yeah. Don't know how much that's going to calm you down, but you can try your best.
Can confirm I was doing that all incorrect. I was breathing in and out through the mouth. Did not
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know why. I think because I was trying to just get air in. I was like, just get air in.
You're
just
going
let
to get
it
more
out.
air in through the nose.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Well, it's going to slow it down. The slower your breath, actually, it's really interesting. And another friend of mine just wrote a book, Rory Warnock. You guys might have heard of him. He's from Sydney. I think it's called The Power of the Breath. But he really talks about it's like counterintuitive that slower breathing actually oxygenates you more. You think in and out through the mouth, I'm going to get more in, but no, in and out through the nose, deep and slow is actually going to oxygenate your body more.
I need that now because my diaphragm is so squished.
Yeah.
I can't breathe. But I love it because we constantly harp on about the basics in terms of health, fitness, wellness, whereas people kind of dismiss the basics and they want the quick fixes and things like that. And this is exactly where these few little things, which can take 14 minutes of your day, can have the biggest impact than going and spend, thousands on gadgets or trying to fix this issue where it's like if we just slow down for a minute, and we all dismiss it. We're all too busy to do it. So I think if all of us can implement this, I'm really excited for the group chat. So we'll make sure that happens. But also we obviously go through ups and downs and we have our bad days. Do you think gratitude can coexist on those bad days?
Maybe even more so on the bad days.
Yep.
The bad days, they're the ones where you got to go a little bit more macro.
Yep.
When you're internal in your own world and a few things, or maybe, something massive has blown up. You're going through a divorce, you've had a family member pass away, interest rates have risen, my life sucks. How can you look for the small things? And that's why I love if you're, listening in Australia right now, I always bring this up is, Australia, mathematically, it's kind of pretty close to 1 in 333 in the global population. So if you're in Australia right now, imagine every time a baby's born, they all get a dice that has 333 faces on it. If you're born in Australia, you rolled the dice and landed on number 1. We're so lucky to be here in Australia. Obviously, there's some challenges that come with being in Australia. You might hate what the government's like right now. You might think it's, a bad place because of blah, blah, blah. I've traveled the world. Australia is the best place in the world, our beautiful beaches, the safety here. And once again, obviously Melbourne, there's things that aren't safe, but statistically we're pretty bloody lucky here. So if you're really having a bad day, just going for the macro, going, wow, I've got, food in my fridge. I've got hot water coming out of my taps. I've got, bombs not flying over my head. We're pretty lucky. So if you're having a really bad day, trying to go bigger.
Yeah.
But on those days, it might be I had a coffee that tasted good. I ate something that tasted good. Look for those things that are macro or really small.
Yeah.
I've got food in my fridge. There's so many things that, are challenging in all of our lives. you can choose to shine the light on the challenging things or on the positives.
And I feel like once you start, then all of a sudden you can think of all these different things.
You start to find more. And that's why that daily practice of in the group and stuff has been so helpful for me and other people, because now I go through my day going, oh, I'm going to be that tonight. I'm going to write that down tonight. And then, hey, look, I'm looking for all the good in my day rather than looking for the negative in my day. And it's a practice. It takes time to build the muscle. You can't, practice gratitude tonight and wake up going, oh, I'm not happy tomorrow. It's like doing one sit up at the gym and going like, oh, don't have a six pack or, shooting one basketball and going, oh, I'm not in the NBA yet. It's like, if you want to get good at gratitude, it takes time. Practice it each day. The more you do it, the more good you see, the more positive chemicals running through your body.
Yeah. In terms of like environment and community, how much of an impact do you think our environment has on our mental health?
Oh, massively. The people who surround us are super important. If you have people who, are always bringing you down, who are always talking shit about people, who are, always complaining about what's going on in their life, it's going to bring you down. If it drains me so much when I'm around someone who talks poorly about other people.
And it's like maybe they're not mean to you, but what they're talking
even
about
mean to
is
themselves
draining.
drains you. And obviously, like, you don't want to just cut people out of your life, but trying to like protect your peace is so important. So environment from a people point of view, absolutely. But also your environment, like in your house, if you find it hard to fall asleep, maybe get like orange lights in your house, maybe get salt lamps at night rather than having blue light all around you. Like, how is it trying to go to bed after a late flight when you've been in an airport that's just, it's like you can't, your nervous system doesn't settle. Like, so many incredible things that we can do in our environment. Make sure you have plants around your house inside. You've got better oxygenation in your house. So many different things. Make sure you're putting your feet on the earth each day. When we touch our feet to the earth, we get rid of the electromagnetic energy that we all hold. Like, look at the room we're in. There's so many electrical cabling all around us. Like, our body holds this electrical charge. We need to ground ourselves. So get outside each day. Put your feet in the grass. Put your feet in the sand. If you, live in a city and you don't have much concrete around you, find a tree and literally touch your hand on a tree. And this might sound weird, but, we're meant to be connected to nature. We're meant to be connected to this beautiful earth that provides so much for us. And we're losing that. We all wear shoes outside. We, wear synthetic clothes that have, plastic all running through them. Like, trying to be less exposed to chemicals, trying to be more exposed to natural environments has such a positive effect on our mental health, but also our physical health and, how our body reacts. Like, so many people are sitting in this huge state of inflammation always, that it's just trying to fight off inflammation rather than trying to actually heal. So trying to bring yourself into the rest and digest system, that external breath helps bring you there. It's like called the rest and digest for a reason. Our digestive works better. Our immune works better.
That's all right. Just chuck her on the table.
So your natural environment is super important, as well as, the environment of the people that you're around, the workplace you're in. Trying to, protect your peace is so important.
Wow. I feel like the rain has affected my mental health, and I felt it this morning because I was walking my dog and he just didn't want to walk, and I felt myself getting so boiled up, and I was like, just breathe. And I was like, tomorrow I need to go to the beach and put my feet in the sand. I could just feel it. I was like, I've been inside, it's been raining, I need to get grounded. I can feel it.
And as well, like little kids, like, you might call me woo-woo from this, but whatever. Go look on YouTube. There's so many great videos and science around grounding. Like, babies are just unsettled all the time because babies never really touch the natural environment because you want to protect them. But even standing on the grass with your baby touching your skin is going to help regulate them. It's going to ground them as well. So our body needs to get this electromagnetic energy. It needs to get this inflammation out of the body, and touching the earth is just a natural way to do that. And don't quote me on it. There's a lot of great stuff in my book about it, but type it on YouTube, Science of Grounding. If you've never heard of it, you'll have your mind blown. Wait a second. There's all these incredible studies now as well. There's hard evidence that our bodies need to touch the earth. And think about the inflammation in humans' bodies since we made rubber sole shoes has just gone because we don't touch the earth.
Makes sense.
It makes sense. Some people in cities, go from a building to concrete to wearing shoes and never touch the earth. We have to touch the earth if we want to get rid of inflammation and help our bodies heal.
And that's where it's you feel inflamed, you feel stressed, and you're like, well, I'm going to sauna, I'm going to ice bath, which are all great things. But you could just take your shoes off and get outside.
Yeah.
But we don't think to do that. And so hopefully with all your work that these sort of I don't want to say little things because they are little things, but they make massive, massive impact. And if we can just take a second and do that. Like if that comes to your mind first when you go, oh, I'm feeling a bit inflamed, take my shoes off and go outside.
Go outside, take
Then
those 3
figure it
breaths.
out. Yeah.
3 breaths through your nose deep and longer out while feet on the grass. Takes you 30 seconds and you watch, your whole nervous system will just relax for a second. And we all need that.
Yeah.
If someone's listening to this and they feel overwhelmed, flat, anxious, disconnected, what would you say to them?
Take your shoes off and go outside and take 3 breaths.
Exactly.
No, I think first and foremost, if you're in a really dark spot and it's been like that for a while, go and seek help. Like the first thing anyone in the mental health space should say to you is if you have had a prolonged more than 2 weeks of feeling really down, depressed, flat, go and seek professional help. I'm not a professional. I'm just talking about some very basic and simple things that most of us get wrong. But go and seek professional help. Speak to a GP, speak to a psychologist. There's nothing wrong with you. 20% of us each year will be diagnosed with a mental illness, 40% of us in our lifetime. Like almost half of us will have a mental illness diagnosis in our lifetime. Like it's normal to go and seek help. So first and foremost, if you've been like that for a while, go seek professional help. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just, maybe something that you're going through and they can give you some, professional help to get you back on that treadmill. But the second thing is, do a bit of an audit of your life. Am I exercising? Am I eating healthy foods that, are pro or anti-inflammation? Am I sleeping well? What's my sleep like? Is my environment at home good for sleep? Is there, plants indoors? Are the lights down? Am I getting sunlight on my skin each day? Like all of these things really add up. So do a bit of an audit. And obviously if you're in a place where you're like, I feel like I can't do any of that, then you're in a place where you need to seek professional help and they're going to help you get back on the treadmill, whether it takes antidepressants or SSRIs. These things should be used as a Band-Aid, as something to help you get from off the treadmill back on the treadmill. But you have to take that responsibility yourself. Try and find those little things that you can do. If it seems too big to go and exercise for a 30-minute gym session, take your shoes off and walk around in a circle on a piece of grass near your house for 10 minutes without your technology. Like we have to, take action if we want to see changes in our life.
Absolutely.
I just had a thought. I was like, that's why in winter, like we can tend to like feel that a bit more because we're rugged up. We don't want to get outside and get in nature because it's cold. I just had that thought. I was like, well, that's why
Makes sense. It's probably seasonal depression. That's why.
Yeah, literally. One thing I want to touch on quickly before we finish is purpose. I feel like a lot of people not even lack purpose, but they lack how to quote unquote find it. And I feel like you've just naturally fallen into the work that you're doing with the path that you kind of took. What would you say to someone who's feeling like a little bit lost in terms of where they're at? Maybe they're in a job they don't like or coming out of school or, there's so many different, stages of life.
I think you say I naturally fell into it. It was quite conscious. I was reading a lot of books and, as an athlete, I felt like I was climbing this mountain of self-achievement. And, I got pretty close to the top really in the scheme of, there's probably millions and millions of surfers in the world. I was in the top 100. I was very close to the top of this mountain, but I didn't feel much purpose. I didn't feel the fulfillment. And then through a lot of research and reading that I'd been doing, I realized purpose and fulfillment comes from service to others. And I looked across and there's this other mountain that goes up into the clouds that actually never ends. And I was like, that's a mountain I want to be climbing. So for me, purpose comes from service to others. And we can all be of service to others, whether it's giving someone a smile, whether, you're packing boxes somewhere, feel service that, hey, I'm packing a, shirt right now that somebody's going to wear that's going to protect them from the sun. It's going to help them out. Like we can find purpose in anything. You work at McDonald's. Hey, I'm feeding someone who's going to get energy so they can go and do what they love to do in their life. Like we can find purpose in anything. It's just your mindset. And obviously through what we've been sold in the world is until you've got all these followers and you have to scale your purpose, then it's not worth doing it. And even at the start of what I was doing, I'd kind of be like, oh, it's not impacting as many people. I'm not going as viral as I want to. And now I'm just like, what, if it helps one person a day, then it's worth my time. There's nothing more fulfilling than, adding a positive bit of value. And we all have value. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be a guru. You just have to share your story vulnerably with someone, share the things that work with you, and it's going to help somebody else as well. So if you feel, that lack of purpose, go and smile at a stranger today. There's, we can find purpose in everything we do, but it comes with, that mindset. And it is, hard to get out of that mindset sometimes, but start with a small bit of, purpose. Call a family member you haven't spoken to in a while. Tell them how grateful you are for them, how much you love them. There's a bit of purpose you've made their day.
And people look at purpose as this big, huge thing and almost it hits me and I felt like I haven't found my purpose yet. But like you said, it is just the small things and it is going to change over time. Like your purpose isn't going to be the same from one season to the next because we evolve so much as humans. Like naturally, it is going to change. And if anything, you want it to change throughout your life as well. What does living a good life actually mean to you?
What does living a good life mean to me? Getting to spend time with my family, getting to spend time with my partner, getting to hopefully have a child soon and, raise a kid to pass on, the lessons that I've been really fortunate to learn. But a good life to me is finding inner peace through the journey. I feel like for so long I rode the roller coaster and I feel like now I have found quite a stable chapter in my life, I guess. Whether it is because of the, the things that I practice, which I have a very strong inkling it is because of the, the different things that I practice regularly that really help me. But yeah, a good life to me is trying to live a life where, I can live to my values each day. I get stuff wrong. Older Cooper is very different to me. And, there might be people listening that knew me 5-10 years ago in my life and would be like, this guy sounds a lot different than he used to be, but we should evolve. We should change. And hopefully we're trending in a positive direction. And that's why I feel like now I'm holding this compass of values that are pointing me that way. But those actions that I have on top are the more important things. So yeah, a good life to me is living a life true to my values, but getting to care about the impact I make, but also realize the most important thing is, my friends and family, the life that I live right here. So many of us base our life on this little box that's in our pocket, our phone that we look at the screen. It's like up until 10 years ago in human existence, we've been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. The last 10, we've based so much of our life in this little magical box. It's like, no, a good life to me is spending less time on that, even though I am spending more and more time on it. But a good life to me is trying to, be present in the real life that I'm living, which is my friends, my family, the people I connect with in person. And, it's just a bonus that now we have these devices that can scale and connect through podcasts and further. But yeah, a good life to me is realizing that stuff matters, but not that much. What really matters is what's happening right here in person in the present moment, and a lot of us aren't living in it. So trying to be in that present moment more often is a good life to me.
I love it. I'm obsessed.
I honestly think this might be one of my favourite podcasts this year.
Me too. This was fun. I do a lot and we kind of went in some cool spots today.
I learned a lot and I just know that our audience is going to take so much from it.
I can't wait for you to implement the breath.
Yeah, same. I want to see how it feels
Message me after you start doing it differently.
Because I feel like this, like the first breathing has helped me, but I'm like, okay, now it's like next level and I feel like it'll help me even more.
And catch yourself throughout the day. We take over 20,000 breaths a day. And most of us are breathing incorrectly. If the only thing anyone leaves doing from this podcast is breathing consciously in and out through the nose a little bit more, like I've done my job. Like it is so positive from a point of like not getting sick as much. Like there's literally a filtration system on our face that most of us aren't doing. And yeah, a bit of reading, grab my book if you want to learn about my book, but Breath by James Nestor will explain the science of it. It's not your fault. As food's gotten softer because big corps realize softer food, we buy more of it, we eat more of it. We've started to shrink our mouths because we don't chew as much. That's why we all get teeth ripped out. All like old history had perfect teeth. So if you've got unstraight teeth, don't think it's your fault. It's because food's gotten softer because they can sell more of it too, which once again, go read the book Breath by James Nestor. And another book, Ultra Processed People by Chris Van Tolkien. Fascinating on like the processing of food. It's like we're not really eating food a lot of the time. So trying to, we could go on for hours about different healthy things and, you guys are big on the health stuff too. So yeah, thank you guys for the chance to have a chat. I've really enjoyed it.
If people want to buy your book, where can they find it?
I mean, if you type in the 1% Good Club on Google, you'll find it on Amazon if you're an Amazon buyer and you want to get it in like 15 minutes to your door.
That's me.
Booktopia as well have copies. It was in the airport for a while, but which is amazing. Like the airports are very tricky though. It's like you're a new release or a bestseller and it didn't quite make it to the bestsellers. There's a lot of incredible authors out there. So it had its little 6-month period at the airport. So you won't see it at the airport at the moment. But yeah, online you can get it on my website as well, thegoodhumanfactory.com. Use the code podcast. Anytime I go on a podcast, I tell people they can have 25% off. So if you go on my website, it's a signed copy as well. So if you go to thegoodhumanfactory.com, write the code podcast, you get 25% off it and I'll sign that copy. But same thing, if you want to learn more about the workshops that I ran for you guys, or you have a workplace and you're like, we got to do this in our workplace, or a sport, or you're a school teacher and you're like, we want this in our school.
Next event.
Yeah.
We'll get Cooper.
Oh, there you go. I'll come and speak at your guys' event.
Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, the website, thegoodhumanfactory.com, you can find all about that. And yeah, if you just want to have a chat and learn anything more, just message me at Cooper Chapman on Instagram, and it's the best place to find me.
Amazing. We'll link everything below, plus our group chat.
Yeah, I'm going to
that
get the
we're
link for the
gonna
group
make.
chat.
I'm like, we're doing that.
Yeah.
And Lily and I will get to reading these books.
I'm
This
excited.
is perfect for my
If you're a
first time.
Spotify premium listener, the audiobook's free as well. So
There
kind
we
of just
go.
got rid of all my sales.
Did
but
you do the audiobooks?
I did.
Love that.
It's a
I love when it's
nightmare.
the,
It's so
the
gnarly.
author.
Yeah.
Took like 12 hours.
I
It's
could
so
imagine.
brutal. The book only goes for 5 hours. Don't worry, it's not 12 hours. The book
Yeah.
goes for like 4 hours and 59 minutes. So put on 1.5 time and you'll get through it in like 3 hours.
I love that.
If you're a Spotify premium, it's free on there, but
There
Audible
you
as
go.
well if you're a listener. I don't really listen to books.
I
I
I'm not a
can't. I
listener.
try.
I can't
'Cause
either.
I'm a podcast over a book. But
Me too. I'll
I
listen to
was-
podcasts
yeah.
because there's like the communication
So
with
I
the
thought
book.
I could do an audio and like that would get me to read more books, but it's so monotoned and like
No.
I feel like your voice could never be
I mean,
monotoned.
Nah.
Yes and no, but also like I just like having a book.
Same.
Even
Yeah.
like people have Audible, I'm like, oh, all of it's there. I like a physical book,
Yeah.
and my book's like small enough, like 200 pages. It's a really easy read, and you'll take plenty of simple takeaways like you might have got in this episode today.
Obsessed.
Amazing.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you guys for listening. Don't forget to share it on your stories, tag Cooper, and join our group chat, which will
Yeah.
be in the show notes or linked on our Instagram as well.
Thank you so much.